All right, welcome into Fantasy Six Pack 2023 Fantasy Baseball Team Previews. I'm Jason. You can find me on Twitter at JRBex. I'm joined by JP. You can find him on Twitter at DapScout. First off, if you haven't already done so, go ahead and subscribe to our YouTube channel here. You're going to get great fantasy content all year long. And then if you want to get access to great award-winning advice and rankings and more, it's available at Fantasy Six Pack. You can sign up for memberships today at fantasysixpack.net/plans. You use promo code F6PMLB for 15% off all of our available options. And if you want to get, if you need for more customizable settings for your fantasy baseball league, then you need to try out Fantrax. You can create an account today at fantrax.com/fantasy6pack and see what you've been missing. And that's just right. I mean, the customization at Fantrax is just top tier, unmatched. You're going to get great options there for running your fantasy baseball league. But today we're going to be talking about we're going to do the 2023 fantasy baseball team preview of the San Diego Padres. Let's go ahead and jump into the starting lineup here. Leading off right now, we have Ha-Seong Kim, followed by Juan Soto. Manny Machado. Batting fourth is newly acquired Xander Bogaerts, followed by Jake Cronenworth. Sixth is Nelson Cruz. Seventh, Matt Carpenter. Eight, Austin Nola. And then running that out is Trent Grisham. Right now, when you're looking at this lineup, one big key piece that's missing is Fernando Tatis Jr., who would, normally would fill in at that leadoff spot most likely, but unfortunately, he'll be missing some time. Where do you see, or where do you think you would be targeting Tatis going into this year in draft?
Nowhere close to what I'm seeing right now. I've just in the last 3 drafts I was in, he was right at the first round, second round turn, and that is way too early for Tatis for me, right? I mean, look, yes, the upside is tantalizing, it's unbelievable, right? But we've seen it happen so many times where somebody has a delayed start for suspension or injury or whatever, and they get injured right away. When you're making those first 2 picks, you're almost having to go sure thing, right? And yes, you can go upside again, but I'm not a gambling person when it comes to those first 2 picks. I want to know that I'm picking somebody and sticking them in my lineup. Tatis is a superstar. He's phenomenal. And he went, early first round last year. But I just don't know if I'm ready to jump back in early, especially with, that turn pick at first and second. Later in the second, for sure. He's never going to get past me in the third round. But again, that's way too early for me.
Yeah, I think you would say it's true. I mean, you can't also just worry about the suspension, right? He's suspended for 20 games to start the season, but then you also have to worry about the injury. We kind of see here now, last couple seasons, he may be becoming an injury risk. So with an ADP of 25 right now, you're just talking about that the late second. It's just not something that gamble I'm worried about. Will it pay off? Can it pay off for you? Absolutely. To me, I'd rather wait till maybe like middle end of third round if you can get him that late. Some people's gonna probably take that risk, but to me, I'd rather just let some other, person in my team handle that headache that you might have to deal with. In that instances, when you look at this, the 2, 3, and 4 hitters are just, plug them in your lineup, get them in the first, second round, no doubt. Right. But when you look at that 6, 7 hitter, Nelson Cruz and Matt Carpenter. We know we talked a little bit, about father time in the past at other teams, but Nelson Cruz here himself. Do you think, or do you see any sort of power out of Nelson Cruz this late in his career?
I'm sorry. I'm a huge Cruz fan, but being 63 and just turned 63. I mean, he was awful last year. I mean, and some of the things that he was amazing at, right? The thing that we always talked about was his ability to catch up to the fastball. His ability to make contact, and he he looked like how old he is, right? 85 years old. So that was one of the things that I will, again, going back to the whole DH piece, right? He only is eligible at DH. You want somebody who, if they're going to take that spot where you can't put a hot hitter in, you want somebody who's going to be just destroying the ball. An Ohtani, for example. Cruz is no longer that option, at least for Frank. Well, I doubt he's going to be that option this season. There's so many other really great pieces that you can pick up late. Some pieces that could get hot and you pick up on the waiver wire. I just don't want Cruz, eating up that DH spot for me.
I agree.
Yeah, and just another really quick thing here too, right? Jake Cronenworth, I don't know how he stays in that 5 spot if he continues like how he was last year. This is a guy who, is a good contact hitter and was missing some balls and having kind of failure rates to make contact, striking out a lot more. And you can't have kind of that drop. You're gonna have a drop no matter what, whether right with Zan. But again, you can put uh, y- some of the other superstars in there, but you can't have that drop at the number 5. There's gonna have to be some type of move. So people that are putting draft capital in, thinking Jake Cronenworth is gonna be that number 5 first base, I see that being moved. He's gonna be moving down that lineup if he continues the trend that he had late in last season.
Yeah, I agree. And then, Matt Carpenter here now, we saw him come over from, the Yankees. And last year at the Yankees, when he did get
Yes.
it was like an unreal and
Right.
almost an unreal power that you don't really you haven't seen Matt Carpenter since probably like, 2014 or something. So
Right.
I think that was maybe more of an outlier last year. I don't foresee him bringing that power again here in 2023. So it's an interesting thing. I mean, I don't know if that's somebody you may want to target late rounds.
Sure.
But I wouldn't expect what we saw with his time in the Yankees to see here in
Well, I
2023.
mean, the Padres Park versus the Yankees Park, right? One's
Yeah.
much more home run hitter friendly than the other one. Uh, I would definitely grab Carpenter again if I need somebody as an extra bench piece. If I want somebody with some average and maybe some surprising power out of nowhere, because he seems to constantly be picked up off the waiver wire.
Hmm.
But, other than that, yeah. I mean, Matt Carpenter's a guy in real life I root for. I think he's awesome. But I just don't know if that's somebody you're going to get unless you're going to later rounds. But yes, he's a great kind of way to fill out a roster that's well kind of constructed, especially if you kind of want that late kind of power lottery pick,
Yep.
because there's going to be injuries, of course.
Yeah. It's got an ADP outside of the top 400. So
Oh, yeah.
could be a late
Perfect.
round flyer.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. 100%.
All right, let's jump over to the rotation here. You're going to have got the Yu Darvish to start it off, followed by Joe Musgrove, Blake Snell, a newly acquired Michael Waka, Nick Martinez, and Seth Lugo. I think one of the biggest eye-popping things here is the 6-man rotation, right? They've come out and said that they're going to roll with the 6-man rotation, which teams have flirted with in the past. However, never really fully gone with the 6-man rotation. That first top three, 1, 2, 3, Darvish, Musgrove, Snell. I mean, those guys are just, grab them as obviously those are great targets. But
Right.
the Michael Waka one's interesting. What do you think?
Well, initially when they signed Michael Walker, was it like a week ago? It
Yeah.
feels like, I assumed they're going to plug him in at like the 5 or 6 starter spot. So seeing him at number 4 is surprising for me. He had an excellent year last year. Let's not forget, and he's going to have a great park to pitch in. Again, with having such a great rotation around you as well. Darvish, Musgrove, Snell. You're not expected to do much more than just kind of go out and pitch your game. You're going to learn a lot too from watching the other pitchers pitch the day before and the day before that. I think Michael Walker could not have ended up in a better spot for him. And I absolutely expect him to flourish this year. He's one of my sleeper picks that I am targeting. And I still have yet to see in some of my drafts where people have kind of made the connection that he's going to be the number 4. The only thing you can discount, though, and the only thing that people need to watch out for is because you have 6 starters, those win totals are going to not be what you expect them to be, right? You're not going. I doubt you're going to have a 20-game winner here, because they're looking at resting. They're looking, for that World Series ring, which is great. Again, in real life baseball, but for fantasy, that's not necessarily the best thing in the world. I expect great things from Waka, Snell, Musgrove, Darvish, Snell. Hopefully, if he's healthy. And I will definitely take a flyer on Nick Martinez and Seth Lugo, just because again, I want a part of that starting rotation for the Padres.
Yeah, you just took my thunder. Nick Martinez
Sorry.
is someone. No, no worries. That's perfect. It's called a segue. Nick Martinez is someone that I've been. I was all in on last year, and kind of, yeah, it had mixed results. He definitely had the strikeouts. The wins weren't necessarily where you wanted to be, but as an SP5, he's going right around like ADP 400, right below. I think it's like 388. Back-to-back years of 100 innings pitched. The K rate's there where you want it, so he's a cheap option for Ks. He's going to get some wins with this lineup.
Right.
And the best thing about him too is depending on which league you play in, he could be RP eligible, which that's a great benefit of putting an SP in your RP role.
Absolutely.
So Nick Martinez could be a great late round flyer for you in your league.
So what you're saying is I can get a Nick Martinez and a Matt Carpenter almost back to back in my last two picks. Is that what you're
Yeah,
trying to say?
yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
that sounds like the best Christmas shopping ever.
Absolutely. Now let's go ahead and look at this bullpen now. Um, okay, we've got the closer Josh Hader, setup men Robert Suarez and Luis Garcia. We got the mid rotation guys with Drew Pomeranz, Steven Wilson, Tim Hill. Long reliever right now is Naval Chrismat. Right now they have the closer of Josh Hader, who would probably like to forget the 2022 season. I don't know if Josh Hader's someone that I want to trust right now. He's on a great team. He's going to get to save opportunities, but until he can prove and get my trust back after an abysmal 2022, I think I'd rather take a flyer on a different closer. But when you look at this bullpen, what are some of the maybe some targets, or what do you think?
Well, before I go into that, I mean, can I just say I'm sorry that Hater hurt you? It seems like that's, but he hurt all of us, right? And
Yeah.
every time I thought he'd righted the ship when they moved him to try, a different role, and every time he came out, he just looked like he was just getting smoked. The thing is that I don't know if it's just one of those situations where we just forget our exes that hurt us. But I'm going into drafts and I'm seeing Hater picked, first or second or third closer off the board. And I get it because he has right now a solidified role. He's with an amazing team. He's going to have a lot of chances for saves. But until I see some change in what occurred, I'm not a pitching expert, but I know when a ball's being smacked around, and he was just people were able to square up on. It seemed like almost all of his pitches. I would like to know, kind of what changes they were making or anything, or is it just one of those situations where they're like, well, we're trusting the veteran to make his own, tinkering. And it's that kind of storyline that I haven't heard anything of, other than just he'll be fine. We're not trying to do pitch or change his grip. I wish I knew more. And until I know more, and until I understand, what was broken, oh, I found out I was flying open too soon, or my lead foot wasn't planting correctly. I wasn't able to. Unless I hear something like that, I'm staying away from Hater because there's no way I'm going to get him as my fourth or fifth, closer off the board. That's where I would put him right now until I see some type of understanding of why he was so bad last year.
Yeah, I mean, he was dreadful in Milwaukee, and they traded him, and then it didn't even really improve much when he went to San Diego too. So It wasn't just like it was more on the player than it was actually like the team philosophies.
And the one other thing about closers, and I just want to reiterate this, right? Closers get that fast, and I don't ever want to be late on letting go of a closer. I don't want to be the guy who is like, oh, I really trust him. He's awesome. I hope he bounces back. No, I'd rather go somewhere else. So until that happens, right, Haters off my board.
Yep, I agree. Just real quick, any other, obviously this team's going to win some games. So any hold targets that you see in this bullpen?
Everybody, yeah. I mean, Drew Pomeranz, his ratios are going to be ugly, and his ERA is always kind of all over the place. But Drew Pomeranz always puts up holds. Robert Suarez again, love Robert Suarez again, and Luis Garcia. I mean, look, Suarez, Garcia, Pomeranz are going to give you 15 plus holds easy. So I definitely would be in on them. And of course, I feel so bad. Steven Wilson. I mean, he's another kind of great guy to look at as well. But because he has options available, he might be dropped off if they could able to pick up a veteran, or if they move somebody else into that role. So I see a lot. I see this bullpen not being set. I see some them having at least one more piece. There's a lot of good veteran pitching there, and as from a holds target perspective, go crazy. But I definitely expect there to be at least one acquisition.
Agreed. All right, well, let's going to go ahead and wrap up the 2023 team preview of the San Diego Padres. Make sure you go ahead and subscribe to our YouTube channel. You're going to get a bunch of great fantasy content, including more team previews coming out. So go ahead and subscribe. Until next time.